Welcome back to the Non-League Papers Non-League Roundup, our brand new YouTube channel, Couchy. We're going YouTube.
We
We're
are
going to the big time.
officially YouTubers.
We're YouTubers. We're YouTubers now. So
YouTubers.
change your bio on your Twitter.
The only
Your
difference
YouTube.
is that they get a bit more money than we do.
You're not an influencer yet.
No. It'd be a very sad day for everyone when I am.
When Couchy's influencing, that'll be you know that it's that things have gone too far. Things have gone too far. But we're here, so this is where you have to say, hit the like button and comment and subscribe, all that kind of thing, and tell all your friends about us. So here, so basically, each week we're going to be doing a bit of a non-league roundup, a kind of a brief overview of what's been sort of going on in the last couple of days. As we go through, we'll obviously get guests on and get people involved. And in the season, we might also have some other midweek shows as well, sort of looking at some of the midweek action and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support and that people have been showing on social media since we sort of announced that we are officially on YouTube. We've already spruced up our backgrounds from the first one. Couchy's going to... well, I thought you were going to get out your walking football shirt, Couchy.
Well, I thought if I put my football shirt on, it would offend too many people and it wouldn't be good for figures. So I just decided a plain grey background, nice and boring, is probably the best way forward.
Well, it's not, nothing's boring in non-league, mate. So that's the good thing, isn't it? And
I've been very impressed with yours, though, Badders. You know, the England and the Farnborough.
Bit of retro, old school Farmer Town. And a bit of retro England. I'll get a few others. I'll try and get a few others and mix it up each week, so we're not showing any bias anywhere. But it's been another interesting few days. Obviously, the confirmation of the Enterprise rent-a-car deal with the National League, the Enterprise National League, the Enterprise National League North, the Enterprise National League South. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but good that's been confirmed this week.
Yeah, finally. It's something we've known about for a while now.
We reported it a couple of weeks.
Started getting a little bit nervy when with the delay in announcing it, but finally done. And it's good that National League are in cahoots with a well-known brand. I mean, they got some big shoes to follow. I mean, Vanarama in the hot seat, weren't they, for 11 years? Did a very, very good job in promoting the National League and non-league football as a whole. And welcome to Enterprise. Welcome to the world of non-league football. And look forward to working alongside them.
Yeah, obviously they do stuff with the UEFA Europa League and the Conference League as well, don't they? So they're kind of well into football, and they're obviously such a well-known name, which is great for the National League. Shows that kind of the pool that they can get, and that people recognise this level of the game. And I think it's always a bit strange at first, isn't it, when you get a new name, but over time people will kind of get used to calling it the Enterprise National League. And you sort of think of, you said before with Vanarama, it kind of always sort of stuck. People would say, kind of, it always reminds me of kind of the Isthmians one when they had the Ryman League. People would sort of
Ryman, everyone knows the Ryman
League now, don't they? Sort of people would.
I still call it the Carling Cup as well.
I even had a player say to me the other day about playing in the Blue Square Premier. So
Blue Square Premier, yeah.
So
Premier League is another one, wasn't it? That's.
I'm thinking this Farnborough top was probably from the GM Vauxhall Conference days.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
many years ago. Yeah, that was. They had a good team then. They had a good team in them days under Alan Taylor,
Chrissy Booth, and I think Neil Baker would have played in this shirt.
Yeah, Neil Baker. Yeah, Johnny Underwood would have played in that team.
Yeah.
So both David Harlow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's quite a few good names from Farmers Pass have played in that one. He spoke to Farnborough manager this week, Spencer Day. He's written a column, isn't he, talking about how the strength of the National League South and what a tough division that's going to be.
I did.
It was last season, but what it's going to be next season as well.
Yeah, I did. I caught up with Mel Mucker, Spencer. Always good for a line of Spencer, and he was great talking about National League South. He's had a bit of a rough summer, Spencer, on the transfer front. He's lost some key men. Ricky Holmes, in particular, his player coach has gone to a very ambitious Chelmsford. Lost Reggie Young as well to full-time football in Dagenham, and he was a little bit frustrated, but he gave me some really, really good stuff in his guest column this week about National League South, about how exciting it's going to be, and obviously he's very jealous of the amount of money that's banded about, not necessarily on his doorstep, but I mean he's. When you look at the clubs that are going to be vying for promotion in that division, there's as Spencer said, there's a good 8 to 10 teams who have real sights on that title, and the amount of money being banded about, and it basically the stakes have been upped right from the get go, and all of a sudden you got a division which is bursting at the seams with full-time teams and teams with big ambitions as well. And so you had Dagenham and Maidenhead to the mix. Dorking Wanderers are desperate to get up. Chelmsford City have just announced a £1 million sponsorship deal, which is incredible for the league. Salisbury, Salisbury have got new Kuwaiti owners with lofty ambitions as well. So it's great for the league, and Spencer speaks really well about how good it is for the league in general. Albeit he's a little bit green-eyed as well.
Well, yeah, so he signed Don Polion and Rakesh Bingham as well. So he's kind of he's made some good additions himself there as well, isn't he? But
excellent signings, yeah.
Interesting way the National League South. Obviously, last year there was that mad final day finish where one of 6 teams could have won the titles. Truro City kind of took control of that day pretty early on, but he's saying throwing in Torquay, Eastbourne. It's going to be some division. It's kind of, I think in the last sort of recent years, maybe people talk about like the National League North in that kind of terms of, there was a lot of full-time clubs in there and how strong it was and how difficult it was. And the National League South has kind of come join that part, isn't it, from full-time. And I think that probably shows the change in landscape in non-league football. It is completely, I always think back to that COVID. People talk about COVID, and was there going to be a big reset? Well, financially, that doesn't seem to have happened sort of throughout the level. Still, sort of as much money, if not more, almost certainly more, being sort of chucked around now, which is And
Spencer said as well, it's the league below. He said there's a lot of money in Step 3 as well at the moment, and clubs looking at going to full time or perhaps sort of hybrid models really to start with, and building up. There's a lot of clubs in Step 3 with lofty ambitions too, and like Spencer said, real tough times economically at the moment, but certainly non-league football is sort of one of those areas where
football club, it seems like that's a strange thing about non-league, isn't it? There's clubs who are kind of struggling and are finding it difficult to make ends meet, and are really up against it, and the sort of the financial implications of rising costs and bills does hit them really hard. Then you've got others chucking money around, so it kind of that's where we are in non-league football. That's people would have their different views about it, won't they? The sort of the money side of it and all that kind of thing. Financial fair play, not necessarily a thing that fully exists in non-league. So whether that's a good thing to hear what people think, because there's how often do we see clubs overspending and then kind of look what happens. So interesting times certainly in that National League South, and so the National League North will be will be another fascinating division again as well. I think it was strange, wasn't it, last year, how that final day had such exciting finishes at both those leagues, and actually right throughout the pyramid. There's a few others as well, wasn't there? Step 3, Step 4 that all went down to the final day, and sort of it's the numbers don't add up, do they? All the teams that want to get promoted, there's only going to be two up from each division, as we know, but it's it does make for an exciting end of the season running, hopefully, and that's what we'll be looking for. The first sort of fixtures will be out next week, won't they, with the FA Cup and the Vase and the trophy, and I think the National League out next week as well. Are they the week after? So it's all kind of
pre-season starts on Saturday, doesn't it? So
I was quite surprised when you told me this on our weekly call on Tuesday. You said, we need to make some space for pre-season.
Yeah, we're up and running. Yeah, we got the cameras at Emley. So if you're in and around Emley and fancy game of football, then that's a great place to go. They've got Huddersfield Town from League One coming down. So real big occasion there. I know Kids Grove Athletic as well. We're there too. They're hosting Port Vale as well. So the nice big game for them. And we're up and running. There's not too many games up and down the country, but say check out your NLP. They're all in the back of the book there. And the football fix is not too far away from being solved or being fixed, should we say? So looking forward to it. And here we go from here on in.
Yeah, I think we're about a month away from the Step 5 and 6 seasons. Some of them are starting at the end of July, aren't they? Ahead of that big FA Cup extra prelim round, and the clubs are being announced this week. Who's in it? Who's made the cut? What the exemptions are, and everything in those competitions. So that's something to always sort of builds up that excitement. And then when that draw comes out next week, it kind of really feels like the season is getting ever closer.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it to say basically it starts from here. FA Cup trophy and VAR's allocations in this week's non-league paper. Fixtures next week. So it starts from here. It hardly feels as though we've had a summer at all. But here we are, and raring to go already for 25-26. Can't wait.
Yeah, I must admit, pre-season doesn't really do it for me. I find it.
Nah.
I think it's the whole A trialist, B trialist, and then we get the whole thing. We have to the annual tradition where we have to all fall about laughing when the trialist family have a great day, and we have to ha, and someone posts it on Twitter. We get that every year, and I've always got beef for some reason with. I don't like it when you don't know. I think if you're paying to go into a game and watch pre-season, you should know who's there on the pitch and who's playing. I don't like the whole trial thing. I think if you're paying, you've told who you're going to see.
Yeah, I think as a supporter, it has its benefits. You know, the fact that you can watch a game in nice sunshine, nice chilled atmosphere. Maybe able to see the odd sort of star in the making or whatever. If a football league or a Premier League team come down, I think there's certainly an attraction there. But you're right. I mean, I think it was Dunfermline or something this week. They printed it. It was the first team sheet of the summer, and it was literally trialist A to X, I think. There wasn't one name on it. Just trialist A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you think, well, when it gets to that sort of level, and that's when you think, well, you know, really, I think. But I mean, it's the world.
Like I said, pre-season brings clubs get some of their biggest gates clubs get some of the biggest gates that they'll have all season as well, don't they?
They do. Yeah, I mean,
that make a big difference to the coffers. So it's good, but it just makes you the real stuff.
Yeah, there has been a shift as well, I think. Certainly a few years ago, there was a dearth of big clubs coming to non-league clubs as they used to. You know, they started venturing abroad or whatever. But I actually think it's coming back. You know, there's a few. There are some clubs out there, big clubs out there, who do still support their local non-league club by bringing strong teams down for pre-season. It does still exist, which is good, and hope that continues. I mean, I think this summer in Prison there'll be some decent games to look forward to.
Yeah, it's definitely important, like you say, that they sort of help and support each other, and that comes in the form of all sorts of things, isn't it? With sort of developing load players coming out and all that kind of thing, and helping the development of everybody and making the ecosystem, as strong as possible. So. And in fact, whilst we've been having a chat, Couch, there's been some big breaking news with Steve Cotterill set to leave Forest Green Rovers. Sort of first reported a couple of days ago that he looked likely to leave. I think it was John Palmer, sort of about that a covers the Gloucestershire papers, really well connected, and he'd I think he was the first to tweet about it, and Sky Sports had also picked up on it as well. And I think it was the Stroud Times, Ash Lover, who's there, they run a piece saying that Robbie Savage had been spotted in Stroud, and kind of, so speculation that he's possibly been in talks with them. We obviously, we don't know. Obviously, the Maxwell manager got Mac promoted last year, didn't he, Robbie Savage? So, but yeah, it's a very brief, statement from Forest Green about Cotterill. Just says Steve Cotterill and Forest Green Rovers have parted company following the club's decision to terminate Steve's contract. We wish Steve all the very best. Well, wish Steve all the best for the future. So yeah, short and sweet. Obviously finished third last year. They were in that title race for a little bit, weren't they, with Barnet and York, but kind of sort of fizzled out really. Sort of where Barnet and York were kind of blowing teams away. Forest Green never really seemed to last year, did they? I think we kind of would have a bit of a joke in the office that Forest Green would be drawing most of the game or losing 1-0 and they'd win 2-1, or they'd win 1-0. Somehow they'd kind of just always kind of get it back and get the points, wouldn't they? But so they didn't kind of exactly set it alight last year, but still finished third in the league, and then they've been ahead in that playoffs semi-final against Southend, which obviously you were at, Couchy, and that sort of game swung around, turned around late on, didn't it? And then Southend obviously went through on penalties, but third place back in non-league, not is a good achievement really, but it's obviously they've going in a different direction, and possibly that's been prompted by the fact Mark Bowen came in as former Reading manager, and he's coming as director of football. So big changes at the club generally, and Steve Cotterill's departed the New Lawn.
Yeah. Shame really. As you say, it was a good solid season for them. Good solid first season back, if not unspectacular. They just found a way of winning games, didn't they? A lot of late winners. Very, very mechanical, very well organised, as you'd expect a Steve Cotterill side to be. And they fell away. Whereas Barnet and York pushed on. They never really did. And for a long time, playoffs looked like being their best bet. But having to wait 17 days for their semi-final, and as you say, I was at that semi-final, and you could tell that delay certainly took their toll on them. Southend looked a lot sharper and looked basically more likely. Right from the off, and at the end, Steve Cotterill was devastated as you can imagine, and you just got a feeling that something wasn't quite right, and it'd be interesting now. I would say Mark Bowen was a very interesting appointment as director of football. It was one of those ones that sort of made you climb off your seat really and think, wow, very high-profile guy. He's had some big jobs. Why would he be going into Forest Green Rovers under another high-profile manager? It didn't really make sense unless there was something afoot. And Robbie Savage certainly would foot the bill. Be a shame for Macclesfield fans. I mean, he's put a lot of man hours into building that club up, hasn't he? And they absolutely walked the NPL Premier this year in his first season as a manager. So it seems a little bit premature, perhaps, but big job, of course. And if it does work out, then they're certainly going to be a formidable twosome. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's Forest Green. They're sort of kind of there. Obviously, we've covered the club before when they were in non-league, and when the sort of Dale Vince money kind of came in, and kind of all those sort of big changes, and it did take them a little while to get up into the Football League, and obviously then they had the go up to League One, didn't they? And then they had the back-to-back relegation. So it's going to be they've got that kind of power now, that sort of spending power to get people like that. I'm sure whether that sort of transpires to be the case, we'll sort of find out. But there will be, it'll be really interesting to see how that sort of pans out now. And Cotterill, he's been around for such a long time, and as you say, he's you kind of imagine him to be the sort of character. He's his own man, and he's going to decide the way he wants things. And so yeah, it's possibly not surprising news that he's moving on, but that has happened. And I think it's always interesting, that sort of dynamic when a club comes into non-league. And say Forest Green Rovers, were a very traditionally non-league club throughout their history, other than the last few years, and they kind of coming back down didn't seem to sort of phase them like we see it with some other clubs. And we'll be interested to see what happens with Morecambe and Carlisle when they come down this year. Again, both have been here before. Morecambe for quite a few years. Carlisle that came down in, I think it's 2004-05, and went straight back up through the playoffs. But they've made a good signing this week on, already brought in Regan Linney from Altrincham, haven't they? And now they've brought in David Adjiboye, who's was excellent for Sutton United that season that they went up. I'm not sure I've ever seen a player run so fast with the ball at his feet. He's absolutely lightning quick, and he's obviously got his move into the Football League after that. He'd been at Worthing as well before Sutton, hadn't he? And what a great that looks like a great signing on paper for Carlisle.
Yeah, certainly does. Carlisle certainly look pretty impressive at the moment. Obviously, Mark Hughes in charge. The fact that he's committed himself to the club is great for non-league football to get someone like Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes at the helm, and Morgan Feeney as well. Morgan Feeney is a massive fan's favourite up there, and for him to come back, that's a huge signing for them. And Regan Linney, we all know what he can do. With his days at Altrincham and Adjiboye, they look pretty formidable, and certainly they'll have designs on emulating what they did back in 2005.
Yeah, I think the season's start of the season such a long way away, even though it is getting closer. But there's so much that can kind of happen between now and then, particularly with signings, that kind of changes everything. But Carlisle have got that sort of feel of title favourites. I mean, I sort of think probably York ahead of them as we sit here today as title favourites. I just don't think you can't. The fact they've made such good signings themselves as well, and they got that 96 points last year. Bringing in Ollie Banks and Alex Newby and Ash Palmer, obviously, has won the title with Stockport County. Ollie Banks was at Chesterfield when they won the title. So
Kitching as well this week.
Yeah, Mark Kitchen as well. Again, who's just been promoted through the playoffs with Oldham, and they are making some really good signings as well. York, and I think they, if the season was kicking off now, you'd say I personally would say they're favourites. I think probably in a lot of it. What's it kind of mean now? But Carlisle, they're sort of certainly making their intent known, aren't they? That they do not plan to stick around in non-league football again for very long. But we'll see how that plays out. There's been some other interesting signs this week as well, isn't there? David Ferguson's left Hartlepool, and his contract expired there, and he's gone to Gateshead. Talking about people who know how to get out of the division. He's obviously won promotion with Pools, and going to Gateshead. A real sort of summer of transition there, isn't it? With Alan Armstrong kind of coming in, and there have been lots of difficult off-field sort of situations at Gateshead, but a good sign in there to sort of show that they can get got that pool to get players. Tavon Campbell's gone to Yeovil. Eastleigh signed Kieran Evans. Another one that's sort of popped out to us is Cameron Green, was at Boston last year. He's gone to Solihull, but Solihull have made another really good sign, haven't they, with Dan Greeny from Tamworth, and that just shows what a big impression he's made at the Lambs over the last sort of couple of years, really. 6
years in fact. I mean, Solihull are sort of making some certainly making some strides. I was a little bit worried about them at the back end of last season. They finished the season very sluggishly, and it was a big summer for them. With crowds being down, they were in danger of getting of getting eaten up a little bit. But Matt Taylor over the last couple of weeks has certainly addressed that, and I think Dan Crane is a massive signing for him. Cameron Green as well. He was one of Boston's superstars really in their great escape last season, and he'll certainly be a pivotal figure for them. And Solihull certainly making strides, and I think they needed to as well. And I think there'll be more to come as well in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think you could see in Tamworth's statement how kind of disappointed and they are to see sort of Dan go because of what he's done for the club and obviously been part of those promotions. And then last season as well, and 30 years old, he's he really sort of turned up and performed last year for them in that first season back in non-league's top flight. But I think they're realistic that he's being offered full-time football at Moors, and for him to have that opportunity now, kind of very difficult for him to turn down. So yeah, one they haven't been able to keep, and I guess that's going to be one of the issues for Tamworth when they've done so well. That the kind of clubs will come and circle and try and pick off their best players. I mean, one player that hasn't been picked off and that Aldershot fans will be very happy to have kept hold of is Josh Barrett's on a new deal down at the Rec, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. What a signing for them. FA Trophy hero. He's the main man really there at Aldershot, and there was a lot of concern that he would be the subject of big interest this summer, and I'm sure he was as well. But the fact that he's signed is great. Aldershot also got another old favourite back in Kwame Thomas. He of course was a substitute on the trophy, trophy final. So managed to lift the trophy. He's back for third spell. Ryan Hill, which I think is a really good signing from Dagenham. Very, very entertaining and gifted number 10. He's someone else who you could really rip it up at Aldershot. Again, I think that was another squad that needed refreshing. They had a really a morale boost in end of the season in the FA Trophy, and Tommy's ready to go again, and he's made some pretty shrewd signings already this summer.
Yeah, I think with I was impressed with Ryan Hill when I've seen him at Dagenham, but I think with Josh Barrett, it's kind of that bit of that sort of throwback. He's got a bit old school, sort of that sort of maverick sort of type player. Kind of it's easy to sort of say after the event, but kind of just seeing the way he started that trophy final, he just felt like there was no doubt that he was he was not going to do have an impact on the game, but also to score. He was desperate to score. I think I remember there's a chance where he missed sort of early on, and he was sort of jumping up and down, isn't he? Sort of frustrated with himself, couldn't believe it. But he's got that kind of little bit of magic in his boots. He
reminds me a little bit of like a Lee Trundle kind of player. Sort of back in the day. You're very gifted player.
But really sort of make stuff happen on the ball. And you think, people are going to get it off him, and they can't. And that was some striker at Wembley from him as well. It was one of the best guys I saw last year. I think Norwood's one takes it for the Oldham at Wembley in that playoff final. But that was some strike to wrap that FA Trophy up for sure. So yeah, the Shots fans will be very happy with that. And just up the M3 has been obviously Woking kind of making some changes as well, haven't they? And brought in Craig Ross and Jake Hyde as players there before coming as player coaches. You were saying earlier, so
two excellent signings. I mean, Neil Hardy's made a couple of changes to his backroom staff. Craig Ross and Jake Hyde, the Woking fans will know very well, and they've also signed another young lad who I know very well at Kidderminster, young left back Caleb Richards, who is someone who I know know's been attracting a lot of interest. A really good young player. He's good defensively, also bombs forward as well. I think Woking fans are going to like him as well next year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting over the next sort of coming weeks to see kind of where those big sort of bombshell signings are that really sort of make you step up, sit up and take note. It was a few years ago. Chesterfield signed Shimanga on the eve of the season, didn't they? And it was like, wow, that's kind of real sort of big signing. I think you get a lot of that in non-league right up until kickoff. There'll be some big big name signings that kind of come along that you don't expect to see necessarily, and at all levels, even sort of through not just step 1 but step 2, 3. There's been lots of players who've already made their moves this summer that you kind of make you think, oh wow, that's a great signing. I'm sure there'll be some.
There's some big links. There's some real big links out there. Big rumours. Obviously, nothing substantiated yet, but there's if it comes off, then there's some stories we can certainly sink our teeth into the next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll definitely enjoy that. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see for sure. Good to see. We've got plenty in the so we'll have some pre-season action in the paper this week. We've got plenty of other stuff going on as well, haven't we? And I've spoken to Bowers and Pitsy joint manager Luke Wilson today about what they've got going on there. Obviously relegated from the Isthmian Premier last season, trying to get back up. We're hoping to have a piece with Paul Carden, who's similar. Warrington got relegated and trying to get back up to step 2. So it's kind of that period of this summer, isn't it, where everybody's getting their plans in place, getting ready to try and have their best season possible. But what else we got going on in the paper this week, Couchy?
Yeah, plenty really. We Salisbury. We've been talking to the new Salisbury owner, Mr. The Couchy guy with lofty ambitions there. Louis Annesley, the Gibraltar international, just in at Dorking Wanderers. He's got a few good tales to tell about his international battles he's had with some pretty big names, and obviously the Spencer. We got the Southern League Awards as well. Sad news from North Shields as well. Plenty going on. Steve Pitt. We're hoping to get hold of Steve, or you are.
I need to text him.
Braintree, yeah. Well, that's it. And then
answer his phone. We've got Gregor Robertson column as well. So Gregor, Gregor's column in as well, which is.
I'm hoping to speak to Gavin Cowan as well at Brackley. Big season coming up for them in the National League, and hopefully he'll pick up the phone to me, and we'll have a nice chat there. Looking forward to it.
If you pick up the paper on Sunday, you'll see who has actually answered their phone. And
that's it. Yeah.
Most people seem to be back in
pages.
back in pre-season training now, so not as many people on holiday, which is
that's it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Maybe to give it much easier, but yeah, good to speak to you, Couchy, and
and you, mate.
We'll catch up, and thanks again everybody for tuning in. So this is sort of the beginning of this YouTube channel in the early stages of it, and we'll be obviously hoping to grow it as much as possible in the ahead of the coming season, and in the coming season as we get going, we'll be getting guests on to have a chat with, and looking forward to doing a lot more of this.
Yeah, me too.
Take care. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.